We just wrapped up a 12-team head-to-head categories mock draft. Let's recap on fantasy baseball today in 5. Welcome into FPT in 5 on Wednesday, March 13th. I am Frank Sanford, joined by Scott White. Let's recap the draft. Head-to-head category is what I like to call the Wild West, and we will see that right now on Scott's team. He was picking 9th overall out of 12 teams in the league. And on offense, you've got Cal Raleigh, Matt Olson, Matt McLean, Royce Lewis, Ha-Seong Kim. In the outfield, Fernando Tatis, Jorge Soler, Evan Carter. 2 utility spots, Andres Jimenez and Rhys Hoskins. We do lots of drafts together, Scott. These are not names that I'm used to you drafting.
Yeah, and a couple actually are on my most recent bust list that came out, Ha-Seong Kim and Matt McLean. A big part of it is they went for discounts in this league, and I'm not so confident in any bust pick that I wouldn't take a 20-spot discount. You know, that was the case with Matt McLean. And the case with Ha-Seong Kim is, you know, when you're talking about only 10 hitter spots to balance 5 categories, you have to be less particular about your individual feelings for a player than what they can do for you and how scarce that is. And I took Ha-Seong Kim at a point where I only had one high-end base stealer, Fernando Tatis. I had already taken Royce Lewis, who might give me some steals. I guess I had already taken Matt McLean too. But I felt like I needed speed more than power at that point and wanted a big infusion of stolen bases. That's a big part of building a head-to-head categories team because you're competing in the 5 roto categories, but you're doing it a week at a time. And the distribution of home runs, stolen bases, of anything over the course of the season, from week to week, that's going to be less predictable. So I tend to gravitate more toward players who can dominate in a category as opposed to filling out a lineup with guys who give you a little bit of everything. Because if they're giving you 20 steals over the course of the season, a 26, 27 week season, that's less than 1 steal a week. And you can't even be sure it's going to be distributed that way. It may be 3 steals 1 week and then 3 straight weeks with no steals. I'm talking about a 20 steal guy, right? So I'd rather have ones, on the steals end, like Ha-Seong Kim, on the home runs in, like Matt Olson, who are going to, who I can feel confident are going to regularly make an impact in that category, since it is a week-to-week contest. Overall, I like the balance of the offense. I think maybe the batting average is my weakest category. Not that I have a lot of like obvious batting average drains in this lineup, but I don't have any standouts either. Again, given that it's a week-to-week contest, those ratio stats like batting average are going to be less reliable from week to week anyway. So I think if you're going to go weak at any offensive category, that's the one.
Let's take a look at the pitching staff, and you selected Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Pablo Lopez in rounds 3 and 4 respectively. The rest of your starters, Chris Bassett, Nick Lodolo, AJ Puck, Charlie Morton, and James Paxton. 3 solidified closers on this team, and elite ones too. Josh Hader, Pete Fairbanks, Craig Kimbrell. So again, not seeing the normal Scott White draft strategy here in this format, leaning more into the saves and getting an elite closer on this team.
Yeah, with regard to the relievers there, I think that's a format-specific thing too. Head-to-head categories leagues are the ones where I'm most likely to invest in a closer. Not that I'd normally go Josh Hader, the top closer by some people's rankings, but he lasted till round 6. And for him to last that long in the format where he's most valuable in my estimation, because again, you're going week to week, you want to feel confident you're going to win that saves category more weeks than not. I was fine making the investment in him given the discount in this format. But it's also unusual for me to draft 2 starting pitchers as high end as Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Pablo Lopez. And I think that's more about me picking 9th overall. So that meant I was picking 9th in round 3. And when you're picking that late in round 3, what I've been calling the MVP caliber hitters, they're almost certainly gone by that point, certainly in a categories league like this. And so that's when I look to draft a high-end starting pitcher, is after those MVP caliber bats are gone late in round 3. It just so happened I was able to get 2 of them this time. Pablo Lopez made it back to me in round 4. I don't think that'll happen often. And if it hadn't, I probably would have taken a hitting category standout like CJ Abrams. But it worked out this time that I was able to get 2 aces instead of just 1.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.